Today I'm going to be telling you about my experience with the Canon 50mm f1.8 over the past 6 months. But before we do so, I want to tell you about our sponsor, Artlist. If you're a creative like myself on YouTube or even have a large production company, you're going to need stock assets such as music, sound effects, and footage. And Artlist is the best place to get that. With different plans stemming from just music to Artlist Max with everything you need, Artlist is the place to go. If you want to get 2 months for free on your annual subscription, check out the link below. Thank you to Artlist for supporting the channel, and back to the video. First off, let's talk about the build quality. Now, it is a plastic lens, but that's fine for this price point, around $170. But most importantly, it does have a metal lens mount. Some lenses have a plastic lens mount, and that's not very good. It's pretty weak and sometimes can break off. But this one has a metal lens mount, so that's awesome. Now, as far as the overall build quality goes for like scratches and things like that, I use this as my go-to lens for about 6 months, and I haven't had any major scratches. It looks basically new. Now, I haven't been super rough with it, and I've pretty much left it, on the camera or in the bag, and pretty safe with it. But overall, it's been fine. Now, this is not weather sealed, so I would be careful if it's raining or something like that. Again, this is a cheap lens, so don't expect the world out of it since it's plastic, it's not weather sealed, and $170 lens, right? But overall, build quality is just fine. Now, as far as the optical performance goes, it's pretty good. It has 7-blade iris, so it's not super rounded bokeh, but it's not bad, and it's at f1.8, so it's super bright. Now, the only issue with that is because it's at f1.8 and it has stepper motors, the autofocus is very slow. But that's going to be the case over all these cheap STM motors. If you want to get faster focusing, you can step up to the USM system, which is at f1.2, so super bright, and it has a 10-blade iris, and it's just going to be better across the board, but that's a $2,000 lens, not a $170 lens. But if you just want something cheap that if you break, it's not a big deal, or you don't want to spend $2,000 on a 50mm, this is just a great option. But before we move on, let's hop back to optical quality. Now, these lenses are built for the Canon cameras, and therefore they don't have to be perfect. There's vignetting and all that kind of stuff. But because they're built for the Canon systems, the correction can be applied in camera to basically eliminate all those factors. So if paired with a Canon R camera from any recent years, I've got an R7 here, or a Canon R8, or basically any other system like R3, R5, whatever it may be, basically all the major downsides pretty much go away. So there isn't any vignetting or distortion or all that stuff because it's just fixed in camera. Now, it's not going to be perfect, but it's barely noticeable, so it's not really an issue. Again, for the price point, you just gotta expect what you're gonna get. It's a cheap lens, but for what it is, there's nothing really better. Now, this is the RF version. There's also an EF version that basically is the same. It just is an older design with an older mount. So if you have an EF camera, I'd highly recommend that one, and it's also cheaper. It's around $125. Overall, it's a fantastic lens, and I'd recommend it to basically every photographer I know. The only issue, as I said earlier, is the autofocus, which really isn't an issue 90% of the time. If you want to pick up one for yourself, check out the Amazon affiliate link in the description below. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.